Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Shemai Shai Barakatah. Kal Halal, Yahweh Shemai Shai Bahashim Ruchak Wadash. Yeah, so the show cut off. So this will be like a part two. All right, and I was typing in 10 common markets. Right, we're going into Revelation 17, verse 16, and that Trump, Nero, 47, is cementing this prophecy by his radical insults against the Iranian people and the EU. 10 common markets, right? He called them gay, the Iranian leader gay, right? It says 10 common markets. Let me see, what are the 10 common? So what? I was just proving, I was just going into that the 10 horns are really different from the 10 common markets. So it says a common market is formally agreement between the countries to allow free trade labor, all right, mobility and capital flow, effectively acting as a single market. Key examples include the European Union, right? See, that's them right there. Um, the East African, so let's see, European Union, Southern Common Market. So these are the common markets. I know it was created after World War II. All right, so that's enough for that. You get the point. I tend to go on too much about it. Let's get right back to it. So we're at 17 and 11, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition, right? America. And the beast that was and is not, even he is of the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. So the America is the eighth, is of the seven Rome. Same exact government, leadership. You have a Senate council they elect their leadership. Today's Caesars are your presidents, are your ancient Roman presidents. Same thing. Even their way of culture, they were into bread and games. America's into bread and games. One of the biggest things they invest in is entertainment, and the Romans are all about entertainment with gladiator matches and coliseums and forums. Right? You have something called in L.A. In the L.A. arena is called a forum. The Lakers, right? It says the Lakers. It says these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. It says the victor of the land, the point, which is Yahweh Shai. So we're coming into the victory of our Lord, right? This is all leading towards the Lord's victory. It's setting the stage for the Lord's return. So all this stuff that Nero 47 Trump is saying and building that hatred and cementing their hatred for them in Iran against America is laying down the stage for the Lord's comeback. Because we're about to read, it says, these shall make war with the Lamb, right? So all we just read about the EU and NATO, they're going to make, that scene from, again, Independence Day with Will Smith, with all the nations, they're fighting against each other. That was literally prophecy, and that's going to happen. But then when they see the Lord come back, just like in Independence Day, and kind of come in a cloak device in a way, under the clouds, which is so-called UFO, and appear itself, reveal that cloak, or even how the Lord's going to come back with the chariot bigger than the earth. Then these other nations are going to turn and fight against the Lord. They're going to fight against the Lamb. Even President Trump said that, and again at the UN with the UN meetings or G20 summits where the nations were meeting, and he said on more than one occasion in the 80s. He said in the mid 86 or 87, and he said in the early 80s that what if, we all were fighting war and we would end our conflicts if we had a foreign invader or a foreign invader invading our world, would we all get together and fight against this threat? And that's really biblical prophecy. So it says, these shall make war with the Lamb. And yeah, so all these nations will fight against each other. But then when they see the Lord come, they're going to turn around and fight against the Lord. And the Lamb shall overcome them. But the Lord is going to overcome them, of course. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called. Who's with him? Who is with him? The ones who are called and chosen and faithful. Right? So the ones who are faithful to the commandments of the Lord, which is to go out there and wake up his people, but you don't get to that level of being the Lord's chosen or being faithful, you have to act it out. You have to act out what the prophecy says, to go out there and wake up our people through the biblical prophecies, day in and day out, not giving up. And that starts with the apostles of GMS. They're the perfect example of that. They have never stopped. They have never wavered. They never went back. They never took a break. Right, out there every Saturday, making multiple videos during the week. Right, until they were doing it before, but we'll just use '08 or '07 as an example. They've been just pumping videos, and it's been escalating. And not only that, Corinthians, the church, the third chapter. We are the people that's coming out of it. We are the fruit. I'm one of the fruit, Lord willing, of the apostles, the bishops. Definitely, they're the one of the first fruits. We're all the first fruits, but they're like one of the first ones under the apostles, man. They're the first ones, the CT bishops, right? And after that, in '08, that's when the big flux came in, the big draft of the spiritual draft, and so on, and every few years after, and the ones who are called, of course, many have fell out, but we have still a strong force that has stayed and kept doing the work of the Lord, right? And what's the clear example of that is prophesying, bringing out these prophecies, never changing these prophecies, not and proving that we're not lying, not changing breakdowns, right? So that's the ones who are called, chosen, and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. Right, excuse me. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these that shall hate the whore, right? The EU, the other nations, and you see it now, and shall make her desolate and naked, right? And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, meaning they're going to pop off their nuclear missiles. That's why America is so threatened by anybody who has a nuclear missile, because, eventually these nations are going to use it against them. But the Most High hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will. That's right. And to agree and to give the kingdom unto the beast, and to the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is the great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Yeah, so that was it there. Just wanted to read that. The point is Revelation 17-16, and the 10 horns. You already know what that is. The 10 common markets, or the European Union, right? Which thou sawest upon the beast. These shall hate the whore. A whore is America, Babylon the Great, right? Mystery Babylon, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Right? Upon the forehead was a name written, right here. Or let me start from 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, and full of abominations of the filthiness of her fornication, his philosophy and his freedom, and basically it's worship of Satan. Right? And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth. Okay? So that was it, man. So again, going back to this article, Trump claims Iran's new supreme leader is probably gay. Now, Iran is not part of the 10 horns. It's not part of that. It's not part of that. But the point still stands that he's cementing the prophecy, because him going back and forth with Iran is really fucking up the world economy and angering the European Union. They already said that this is not our war. They're not joining arms with America, right? To fight against Iran. They made it clear publicly. A lot of nations not with America. So, and it's just angering them as well. And again, calling an Iranian leader gay, and telling him to F and open the straits and things of that nature, right? Where was the tweet? Right? Where is that? F and open straits and all that. And making lies like this is just cementing their prophecy, cementing them. He's accusing them of killing their citizens, and the list goes on of all the stuff he has said. All, as you can see here. right? Threatening to blow up their electrical grids, their power plants. So it's we're here, we're here. So with that, this is part two of what I was doing. So with that, I will say, again, the title is Nero 47 calls Iranian Supreme Leader gay. This is cementing Revelation 17 to 16. This is angering all the nations, and it's just messing up world economy, oil prices. A lot of nations are suffering business wise because of the actions of America and their proudness and their statements like this by the cruel Lord. But all praise be to Yahweh Bashim Shai, for all these things happening that the elect can clearly see. Starting with the apostles of GMS and the CT bishops and all down. So, and the brothers in this country. So, with that, I'll say Shalom. All right, Kal Halal, Yahweh Bashim Shai Bahashem Rachakodash. The Wadi Yahweh for giving us Yahweh Shai. All right, double honors to the apostles, double honors to the CT bishops, and Shalom to you, Akim, in this country and all over the world, and Akwath. All right, Shalom to you in this country and all over the world, prophesying in the true name, all right, of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Shalom.